My family tried to take over my beach house and exclude my son, so I locked them out. Reddit stories. They treated my child like a guest and my home like a resort, until I finally chose my son over their entitlement. Hey, I'm Adam, 42, neurosurgeon, husband to Elena, and dad, not stepdad, not kind of, just dad, to Milo, who's 11 and kinder than anyone in my entire bloodline. And this story starts the night my sister decided I was no longer a person, but a concierge. It was 8:14 p.m. I was still in scrubs, brain tired from a 10-hour resection, Milo half asleep on the couch with his switch slipping off his lap, when my phone buzzed. Paige. We planned a family reunion at your beach house. 47 people. 4 days. Stock the fridge by Friday. Just that. No greeting. No request. No. Hey Adam, does that weekend work? No. Are you even free? Just a proclamation, straight from Mount Entitlement. I stared at it long enough for my lasagna to cool on the counter. Typed back. No. Watched the 3 dots appear. Disappear. Appear again. Paige. We're coming anyway. What are you gonna do? Call the HOA? Like she had already won. Like I was a side character in their family story. Before I could respond, Milo patted over in socks, hair sticking up, that soft, half-awake face he gets after gaming too long. Everything okay? He asked. Yeah, bud. Just family stuff. He nodded. He always nodded. He'd learned to. And that nod, small, resigned, too old for an 11-year-old, landed harder than anything Paige had texted. Because my family treated him like luggage. Like an accessory I married into. Like a lowercase letter in a paragraph of capitalized. Rio grandkids. They treated him like a footnote in a house I paid for. And I'd let it slide. For years. But that night, something in me, something I didn't know was still alive, sat up. Like, are we seriously doing this forever? Because here's the truth I hadn't admitted yet. My family didn't want me. They wanted my income, my property, my access codes, my compliance. And they wanted all that without my son. It wasn't just inconsideration. It wasn't cluelessness. It was a hierarchy. Blood grandchildren on top. Milo somewhere near the recycling bin. And me? Somewhere between their financial plan and their vacation calendar. I put my phone down, untouched lasagna beside me, and finally asked myself the thing I should have asked years ago. What would I do if a stranger tried treating Milo like this? And why is my family getting away with it? Spoiler. They weren't going to get away with it much longer. Before I tell you how the whole beach house meltdown unfolded, you need the context. The slow burn insult marathon my family had been running for years. Because the reunion text wasn't the beginning. It was the final straw in a hay bale they'd been stacking since Milo was 3. Here's the short version of my family dynamic. I'm the oldest. The only one who left our tiny inland town. The only one who made real money. The only one who didn't treat responsibility like a contagious disease. Mark, my brother, is 38, and still oscillating between entrepreneur and guy who sells used rims on Facebook Marketplace. Paige is 35, a walking entitlement complex with a Pinterest addiction. And my parents? They believe doctor means eternal obligation with no boundaries. When I say I help them, I don't mean handing out gas money. I mean, paid off their credit cards, $14,200. Covered their property taxes for 7 years. Monthly grocery stipend, $1,000. Co-signed Mark's truck. Gave Paige $20,000 for a house down payment. Bought them generators, hurricane supplies, hotel rooms during storms. Replaced their AC system when it died. And then I bought the beach house. A modest 3-bedroom with 2 bunk rooms, open deck ocean view. A reward for a decade of no sleep, 30-hour shifts, and other people's skulls open under my hands. But the first time my mom stepped onto that deck, she didn't say, "Congratulations," or "Thank you for inviting us." She said, This is all of ours, not just yours. That sentence should have been an omen. Instead, I treated it like a cute generational slip. Spoiler, not generational. Intentional. From there, the beach house became their all-you-can-eat entitlement buffet. They'd text Elena, not me, things like, "Hey, we're using the house next weekend." Not, "Is it available?" Not, "Can we come?" Just expectations stated like weather reports. They left sand everywhere, broke a TV, stained furniture, and never acknowledged any of it. But worst of all, they treated Milo like a guest in his own home. At Christmas, all the real grandkids got embroidered stockings. Milo got a cheap red one from a multipack. At family photos, they'd forget to call him over. At my dad's birthday, my mom introduced the grandkids as, "My 3 from Mark, my 2 from Paige, and this is Milo. He's Adam's step." Step. Like she was spitting out a pit. I kept swallowing the disrespect, telling myself, "They don't mean it. They'll warm up to him. It'll get better." But the moment I truly snapped? Last 4th of July. I'd rented a pontoon and jet skis. Had one weekend off call. Moved a brain tumor resection to another surgeon just to be there. When I came down to the dock, everyone was climbing aboard the pontoon. Everyone except Milo, sitting alone on the pier with his towel and sketchbook. "Hey bud," I said. "You not going?" He shrugged, eyes down. "They said there isn't room." There was room. Plenty. Paige yelled. "We're at capacity, Adam. Coast Guard rules." There were 14 people on a boat rated for 18. I counted twice. Paige's husband added, "We already divided weight by seat. It's unsafe to change it now." My dad chimed in with his beer. "Take the jet ski later, boys' time. Let the cousins have their day." The cousins. Like Milo wasn't one of them. And then one of Paige's kids muttered, "He's not even a real cousin." Everyone heard it. No one corrected him. Milo whispered, "It's okay, Dad. I can stay. I get seasick anyway." He doesn't. He loves the ocean. I felt something crack inside me, quietly, cleanly, like a vertebra shifting. That night, he showed me a drawing. A boat full of stick figures. Fireworks in the sky. And off to the side, alone on the pier, a smaller stick figure shaded darker. "That's me," he said softly. "It's fine. Side characters are more interesting." Side character. My 11-year-old had already accepted being minimized in a family photo he wasn't even invited into. I didn't blow up that night. But something in me changed shape. I just didn't know how permanent that change was until Paige told me, "We're coming anyway." And suddenly, all the heat, all the humiliation, all the swallowed moments, it finally had somewhere to go. The reunion Facebook event was the moment everything snapped into perfect, infuriating focus. I hadn't clicked the link Paige sent, because I value my blood pressure, but eventually curiosity won. I opened it. And there it was. Family Beach Bash 2024, host, Adam Carter. Cover photo, my house, pulled from an old Christmas post Elena made. Location, Adam's beach house, our family place. Our family place. Under guest list? Not me. Not Elena. Not Milo. But 47 other people. Aunts, uncles, church friends, co-workers of Paige's I'd never met, and even 2 of Mark's buddies who once stole beer from my garage. They'd assigned bedrooms, bunk rooms, menu rotations, cooler duty, fireworks shopping, a nightly roster for who gets the good shower. All of it planned without my consent. But the comment thread is what detonated the fuse. I scrolled through jokes about sunscreen, floaties, who snores in their sleep. Then someone asked, "Where's Milo staying?" Paige replied, casual as a cat pushing a glass off a counter. "We'll invite him for a day trip, of course, but overnights are for the real cousins." Heart emoji from my mother. Thumbs up from my father. Real cousins. My son, who I have raised since he was 3, who I adopted, who calls me Dad, reduced to a visitor's pass in his own house. I didn't breathe for a solid 10 seconds. Didn't blink. Just felt everything old and raw and familiar rise in me like a tide I couldn't stop. The sketchbook drawing. The Christmas stocking. The boat. The pier. The quiet apology to himself when people pretended he wasn't there. And then, God help me, I saw one more comment. My mother. He's sensitive. He doesn't like noise. Best to keep him with Elena's parents for overnights. As if he weren't literally drawing spaceships in the next room that very moment. As if he weren't part of my family. As if kindness were a flaw. I didn't screenshot it for proof. I screenshotted it because I knew one day I might need to remember why this line was the last one. That afternoon I called my mom. The tone said everything before her words did. "Oh honey," she said the way someone says, "don't make this uncomfortable. We knew you'd say yes. You never used the house in August. Elena and I were planning a week there." I said. "A lie. A necessary one." "That's fine," she chirped. "You can come too. Just take the smaller guest room." I swallowed. "Mom, 47 people? That's above HOA capacity." "Oh, stop with your rules, Adam. You're so strict. This is family." I inhaled sharply. And the comments about Milo? Silence. A full 5 seconds of it. Then, "Oh, for heaven's sake, don't be so sensitive. You know Milo gets overwhelmed. He'd hate the bunk room. We're helping. You're excluding him." I corrected. "Adam," she sighed. "Please don't turn this into drama. You're hosting, not reinventing parenting. This is about the real cousins making memories. He can come for the day." "Real cousins?" Said again like an official classification. "Mom," I said quietly, "my son lives in that house. And he'll visit," she snapped. "Honestly, this is why your siblings say you've changed. You've gotten controlling. Ungrateful. We're a family. Family shares." But the thing that finally flipped the surgical switch in me, that cold, steady, absolute clarity I only feel when I'm inside someone's skull. It wasn't her tone. It wasn't her words. It was the realization that they had never once considered Milo family. Not once. And now they expected me to host 47 people who treated him like furniture. That was the midpoint. The fracture. The clean break. I hung up without another word. And for the first time in my adult life, not as a son, not as a brother, but as a father, I thought. I'm done letting them make my child feel small. I'm done funding people who diminish him. And I'm done being used. I didn't know exactly what the next step was yet. But I knew one thing with absolute certainty. They were not getting through that gate. Not this time. Not ever again. By Friday morning, the day of the family beach bash, my decision had hardened into something clean and surgical. Not angry. Not vengeful. Just final. A boundary, drawn in steel. I woke up early, made coffee, and sat at the kitchen table scrolling through the reunion Facebook event again. 47 people. Coolers labeled by family. A comment from Paige. "Don't worry, Mom. Adam will have the house fully stocked. He knows the drill." The drill. Like I was the resort manager. Like this was an annual corporation retreat, and I was the underpaid intern. But the comment that did it, the one that made something electric run through me, came from one of Paige's coworkers I'd never met. "This house sounds amazing. Tell your brother thanks," Paige replied. "Oh, he doesn't care. He never uses it. And anyway, family house. Family house." My name wasn't even in the sentence anymore. And Milo? He wasn't in the conversation. I closed the app and started making calls. First, the Community Property Management Office. I knew the manager by name. "Hi, this is Dr. Adam Carter, Unit 12B, I said. "I need to remove all recurring guest passes from my property." All of them? She asked. All, I repeated. And add security at the gate from noon to 8 today and tomorrow. No entry unless a name is on my approved list. Of course, she said. Who's on the list? I sent her 3 names. Adam Carter, Elena Carter, Milo Carter. That was it. Next, the smart lock app. I reset every code on the house. My parents' code? Gone. Mark's emergency code? Gone. The generic 1234 I foolishly gave extended family years ago? Gone. Fresh code only Elena, Milo, and I knew. Next, the family card I'd created years ago, the one my parents insisted was only for gas, but somehow always included Costco hauls, fireworks, and birthday presents for cousins I'd never met. Balance, $1,982.64. I transferred every cent back to my checking and froze the card. Finally, I called my private security company. Hi, this is Dr. Carter. I need someone stationed near my driveway entrance. My family is planning to enter without permission. The man on the phone chuckled softly. Ah, one of those situations. You have no idea, I said. Oh, we see it all the time, he replied. Entitled relatives are worse than burglars. When I hung up, the house was locked down like a federal building. Milo padded downstairs, rubbing his eyes. Are we still going to the beach this weekend? He asked. We are, I said. Just us. Not Grandma and them? I shook my head. They made other plans. He nodded, slowly, thoughtfully, and went to get cereal. That nod again. The one that belonged on a much older kid. By the time Elena woke up, I had the car half packed. You ready? She asked. I exhaled. For the beach? Yes. For the fallout? God, no. She kissed my shoulder. They had 12 years to treat him right. And they didn't. This is overdue. We drove to the house in silence except for Milo humming along to some game's soundtrack. It was peaceful. Beautiful. And then, at 12:07 p.m., as I carried a bag of towels onto the deck, my phone buzzed with a notification from the security gate app. Incoming vehicles 6. The live camera showed a parade of cars. My parents' white SUV at the front. Paige's minivan behind it. 2 trucks. A sedan full of church friends. A car with a kayak strapped to the top. Coolers. Beach umbrellas. Kids in swimsuits. Paige wearing sunglasses like she was arriving at Coachella. I watched from my deck as they approached the gate, and stopped. The guard stepped out. My phone rang. The gatehouse. I answered. Dr. Carter, the guard said. We have a large group here insisting they have permission to enter your property. What did you tell them? I asked. That they're not on the access list. They're not, I said simply. Please deny entry. A muffled voice cut through the background. Put him on the phone right now. Paige. I sighed. Go ahead and let her talk. There was a shuffle, then her voice blasted through ragged and furious. Adam. Open the gate. No, I said. We drove an hour. The kids are excited. Stop being ridiculous. The house is not available. You said yes. I said nothing. Because no one asked? She sputtered. We planned this for months. And didn't involve me. Her voice dropped into that venomous whisper she uses when she wants to sound reasonable and threatening simultaneously. Is this about Milo? Yes, I said. And also about basic respect. Oh my God, you're so dramatic, she snapped. He doesn't even like bunk rooms. We're protecting him. He's sensitive. He's my son. He's not a real cousin, she blurted. Behind me, Milo walked onto the deck, towel around his shoulders, freeze pop in his hand. He heard it. He froze. Something inside me, quiet, cold, clicked into place. Like the final alignment of a surgical clamp. The answer is no, I said. Turn around. You are not guests in this house. Not today. Not anymore. My father's voice boomed in the background. We raised you. UOWUS. I hung up. The guard looked relieved as he waved them away. On my phone screen, 6 cars slowly backed up, one by one, defeated. I stood there barefoot on my own deck, ocean wind in my hair, while my family retreated like a caravan from a battle they didn't understand they'd already lost years ago. Milo leaned against me, quiet. You okay, kiddo? I asked. He nodded. Are they mad? Yes. Are you? I thought about it. Then I said, no. I'm done. And for the first time, done didn't feel like giving up. It felt like choosing us. The convoy didn't go quietly. For the next 2 hours, my phone buzzed like a wasp trapped in a jar. Missed calls. Voicemails. Text after text after text, my family ricocheting between outrage, guilt-tripping, martyrdom, and full Shakespearean tragedy. My mother. We are sitting in a Motel 6 because of you. A Motel 6. Your father is humiliated. My father. You think you're better than us? You'll regret this. Enjoy your fancy house. You'll die alone in it. Paige. The kids are traumatized. Do you even care? After everything we planned, you shut us out? You're unstable. Not one of them mentioned Milo. Not one of them apologized for the real cousins remark. Not one of them acknowledged why this happened. It was all about their disrupted plans, their inconvenience, their embarrassment, their vacation. Not my son. Not the years of being treated like a walking debit card with a medical degree. Not the boundaries they trampled so often they didn't believe boundaries existed. Just open the gate, Adam. You owe us, Adam. You ruined everything, Adam. Meanwhile, you know what Milo was doing? Not crying. Not worrying. Not asking if he'd done something wrong. He was on the deck building the most absurdly complex sand fort blueprint I'd ever seen. He yelled into the house. Dad! Do we have toothpicks? I need support beams. Support beams? The kid was designing a castle while my family was burning down their bridge to me. Elena and I watched from the doorway. She slipped her arm around my waist. You okay? She asked softly. I think so, I said. Then, I think this should have happened years ago. She rested her head on my shoulder. Then let it happen. Let them be angry. Let them scream into the void. We're here. Milo's here. That's all that matters. And for once in my life, I believed her without a single knot of guilt twisting in my chest. Around 4 p.m., my cousin Leah called. Unlike the others, she asked first. Hey, are you okay? I heard there was drama. She heard. Elena whispered, mimicking quotation marks with her fingers. I'm fine. I told Leah. Just done. Leah took a breath. I saw the Facebook thread. She said quietly. The real cousin's part. I wanted to say something, but Mom told me to stay out of it. You're saying something now. I said. Yeah, she said. Because that was messed up. And you did the right thing. Then, can we come by? Just me and the twins. No expectations. No drama. The kids miss Milo. I felt something loosen in my chest, something small but warm. Yeah, I said. Come by. When Leah arrived an hour later with her 2 kids and a bag of groceries, Milo lit up like the deck lights had snapped on. They played games. Built the sand castle. Took silly photos. Laughed, the real kind, where your shoulders shake. At one point, Leah stood beside me on the deck railing. You know they're calling you the villain, right? She said. I figured. They're wrong, she said. Then, matter-of-factly. And even if they weren't, sometimes the villain is just the person who finally said no. I stared at the ocean, waves rolling in like nothing that happened at the gate even registered in the universe. What do I do now? I asked. Take care of your kid, she said. Everyone else can get in line. After they left that evening, the four of us sat on the deck with ice cream. Milo leaned into my side, quiet and content. Dad? He asked. Yeah, buddy? Are we bad guys? I swallowed hard. No, I said. We're just people who deserve respect. He nodded slowly. Good. Because I like it better when it's just us. Me too, kid. Me too. My phone buzzed again, another voicemail from my father. I didn't listen to it. I deleted it without opening. Because for the first time in my life, the silence that followed wasn't scary. It was peaceful. And I knew, in my bones, we'd crossed a line that we were never stepping back over. The next morning, I woke to the smell of pancakes and the soft thud of Milo jumping from tile to tile in the kitchen, pretending the floor was lava. A normal morning. Not a crisis. Not a guilt spiral. Not a damage control checklist. Just us. But my phone was another story. 32 missed calls. 14 voicemails. Dozens of texts. My family had gone from furious to frantic to something uglier. My mother. We had to cancel everything. Do you know how humiliating this was? People from church were with us. My father. You're sick. Truly sick. You need therapy. Paige. My kids are crying. They don't understand why Uncle Adam hates them. Mark. Dude. Seriously? You blindsided everyone. You could have handled this privately. Privately. Funny word for a situation where they publicly announced MY House as their resort. But one text made my blood pressure spike. From my mother. We told Milo could visit today. Please drop him off at noon. Drop him off. Like he was a borrowed item. Like he wasn't the reason this entire meltdown happened. Like they deserved access to him after excluding him from bunk rooms and calling him sensitive and not a real cousin. I didn't reply. Instead, I walked out onto the deck with my coffee. Milo was sitting in his hammock, reading, feet swaying. Hey bud, I said. Wanna do something fun today? He looked up. Like what? Anything, I said. You pick. He hesitated. Then, can we bike to the candy shop on the boardwalk? Not a theme park. Not a big outing. He wanted candy and a bike ride. Because kids don't need vacations. They need parents who choose them. Yeah, I said. Let's do it. Elena kissed my cheek. You okay ignoring the phone? She asked. I'm better than okay, I said. I'm learning. And I was. Every minute spent at that beach house without my family in it was a minute my nervous system repaired some damage I didn't even know was there. We biked down the boardwalk. Bought ridiculous amounts of saltwater taffy. Shared a soda. Watched Milo explain to the cashier, rapid fire, how his new fort design needed triangular supports. The world felt quiet. Manageable. Ours. When we got back, Elena was sitting on the deck with her laptop and an expression that meant she'd been thinking hard. Adam, she said carefully, what do you want the next few years to look like? In what way? She turned the laptop around. On the screen was a half-written letter. Not to my family. To a lawyer. A boundary letter. A cease and desist. A firm, legal shutting of the door. I'm not saying we should, she said. But I want to ask the question you never let yourself ask. What if you didn't have to keep letting them back in? What if the default wasn't always forgiveness and obligation? I exhaled. Long, heavy. Relieved. Because I'd been dancing around that question myself. I sat beside her. I don't know if I'm ready for that, I admitted. But I'm ready to stop pretending they'll ever change. Before we could talk more, my phone buzzed again. A new text. From Mark, the quiet one. The one who rarely weighed in. Mom and Dad are talking about driving back to the beach house tonight. They think they can sort this out in person. Just giving you a heads up. I read it twice. driving back. Ignoring the gate. Ignoring the guard. Ignoring the very clear NO. Elena read over my shoulder and closed the laptop slowly. So, she said, looks like we're not done yet. I stood up, walked to the railing, and looked out at the ocean, calm, steady, indifferent to the storm inland. I wasn't afraid. Not anymore. If they came back, they'd find a locked gate, a security guard, a new code, and a version of me they didn't recognize. A version of me who knew his worth. Who knew his son's worth. Who wasn't going to be guilt-tripped by adults who chose entitlement over love. This time? I wasn't folding. They showed up at 7:42 p.m. Not noon. Not afternoon. Not reasonable hours for a family discussion. No. They came at dusk, in a 3-car caravan, headlights cutting across the dunes like some dramatic small-town posse. The security app pinged first. Motion detected, gate entrance. I exhaled slowly, set my book face down on the table, and walked to the deck railing. From up there, I could see the gate through the trees. 3 cars. My parents' SUV in front. Paige's minivan behind it. Mark's truck bringing up the rear. My mother got out first, waving her arms like she was directing traffic at a concert. My dad got out next, moving with the stubborn determination of a man who believed the world owed him access. Elena joined me on the deck, silent, hands loosely resting on the railing. "What's the plan?" she asked quietly. "To not give them the show they came for," I said. Down at the gate, the guard stepped out of the booth, clipboard in hand. I could almost hear the conversation even without the audio. My mom pointing at the house. My dad arguing. Paige pacing, already on her phone, probably preparing a Facebook tirade. Mark hanging back, uncomfortable but unwilling to leave. I opened the security app. Gate status, closed. Access denied? I tapped the speaker button. The guard answered immediately. "Yes, Dr. Carter? Evening. I see my family is attempting entry." "Yes, sir. They insist you must have made a mistake." "I didn't." "Understood. They're asking to speak with you." Of course they were. Chaos wasn't satisfying unless the audience was present. "I'll speak," I said. "Patch me through." A second later, my voice came through the gate intercom. "Mom. Dad. Paige. Mark." My mother whipped toward the speaker like I'd materialized out of smoke. "Oh, thank God," she said dramatically. "Adam, open the gate. Enough of this." "No." She blinked. Actually blinked. Confused like a toddler hearing the word for the first time. "No," she echoed. "Adam, stop being ridiculous." "I'm not being ridiculous," I said. "You drove an hour to a house you don't own, after being told you were not welcome here." My dad slammed his palm on the gate box. "We're your family," he barked. "You don't get to lock out your family." "I do," I said calmly. "And I am." Paige jumped in next, hands flying, voice shrill even through the speaker. "You made your point last time," she snapped. "You embarrassed us." "Fine. But you're taking it too far. Let us in so we can talk." "You don't want to talk," I said. "You want control." "Control?" she screeched. "You think we want your stupid house? You acted like you owned it." Silence. Then, "It's a family house," my mother insisted. "You bought it for all of us." "No," I said. "I bought it with my money from my family. That family is Elena. And Milo." My mother's face twisted. "You mean your emotional support project?" She spat. Elena inhaled sharply beside me. And that was it. Something cold and precise snapped into place inside me, the same mental shift I get in the or when a situation suddenly becomes life or death. My voice dropped. "If you speak about my son like that again," I said quietly, "this conversation ends forever." "Adam," my father warned, "you don't talk to your mother that way. You don't talk about my kid that way." The standoff stretched. Finally, Mark, the quiet one, spoke, his voice tired. Man, can't we just come in? For 10 minutes? We're literally just standing out here. No, I said. Because every time you show up, you bring disrespect to my doorstep. And I won't let Milo see that anymore. Paige threw her hands up. He's too sensitive. You coddle him. That is the real problem here. I laughed once. A short, disbelieving sound. You still don't get it, I said. You excluded him because he's quiet. Because he doesn't yell to earn space like the rest of you. You punished him for being a kid who needed gentleness. My mother crossed her arms. When you become a parent, you'll understand. I am a parent, I said. Just not to a kid you approve of. Then I added slowly, deliberately. And I'm choosing him. Always. My dad stepped closer to the gate, jaw tight. You're making a mistake you can't undo. Yes, I said. I know. I tapped the button on the app. Disable intercom. Their voices cut off instantly. Down at the gate, they exploded, pointing, yelling, trying to get the guard to override the block. He didn't. He just shook his head, stepped back into the booth, and closed the window. Elena slipped her hand into mine. You okay? She whispered. Yeah, I said. Actually, yeah? We stood there watching in silence as, one by one, my family realized no amount of shouting would open the gate. Eventually, the cars started backing up. SUV. Minivan. Truck. Tail lights fading into the dark. When the last one turned the corner, Elena leaned her head on my shoulder. That was a lot, she murmured. It was necessary, I said. Behind us, the sliding door opened. Milo padded out in pajama pants, rubbing his eyes. Was someone at the gate? He asked sleepily. Just the wrong people, I said. They're gone now. Okay, he said, already losing interest. Can we finish the movie? I looked at him, the kid they tried to make small. The kid they didn't deserve. Yeah, but, I said softly. Let's finish the movie. The house felt different after they left. Lighter. Like someone had opened a window inside my chest and let stale air escape. We finished Milo's movie, some animated sci-fi thing he'd seen 100 times, but still laughed at like it was brand new. He curled against Elena, eyelids drifting, safe in a way I realized he never was around my family. When he finally went to bed, Elena and I stayed on the couch, the TV glow flickering across the living room. You know, she said softly, I've never seen you that calm during one of their storms. I wasn't calm, I said. I was just done. She nodded. That's scarier than anger for them. I thought about that. How every fight with my family had always ended in me apologizing. Me bending. Me smoothing things over because you're the responsible one, Adam. The steady one. The successful one. The fixer. Tonight wasn't fixing. Tonight was closure. Whether they realized it or not. Around midnight, after Elena went to bed, I stepped out onto the deck alone. The ocean was black glass, stretching forever. The air tasted like salt and night, and something clean. My phone buzzed. One message from an unknown number. I hope you're proud. You humiliated us. Dad. Then another. Your mother is sick over this. Call her. Fix this. Dad. I stared at the screen for a long time. 8 months ago, those messages would have shattered me. Sent me spiraling with guilt, rehearsing apologies I didn't owe. Tonight I hit delete. Not block. Not respond. Just delete. Because their emergencies were no longer mine. I woke the next morning to the sound of laughter. Real laughter. Milo was outside on the sand with Leah's twins. They'd shown up early, surprising us with donuts and sunscreen and a foldable kite shaped like a dragon. The three of them were knee-deep in the water, trying to see who could jump over the incoming waves without getting soaked. Milo didn't hang back. He didn't shrink to the edges. He didn't wait to be invited. He was in it. present, joyful, belonging. And it hit me, this is what family is supposed to feel like. Safe, simple, unconditional. Over breakfast, Leah leaned close. You know they're going to escalate, right? She said. I know. They're saying you disrespected them. That you locked out the entire family during a medical crisis. I blinked. A what? She grimaced. Apparently your dad is telling people your mother was having chest pains at the gate, and you refused to let her in. I stared at her. She was screaming at the intercom about beach towels. I know, Leah said. But they need a narrative. And you know how they get when they need to look like victims. I sighed. Let them talk. You don't care? I care about Milo, I said. The rest, they made their choices. Leah studied me a moment, then nodded slowly. You finally stopped bleeding out for people who never even tried to stop the wound, she said quietly. Good. It's time. We spent the day on the beach. Swimming. Kite flying. Napping under umbrellas. Eating sandwiches piled too high with deli meat and crushed chips. No one fought. No one belittled Milo. No one treated the house like a public venue. It was perfect. Around sunset, as we grilled burgers on the deck, Leah's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, winced, and turned it face down. Let me guess, I said. My mom. Yep. What's the crisis now? Oh, she said lightly. Just the usual. Family reputation, family unity, family shame, blah blah blah. And something about how you can't ban people from a house that was meant for everyone. I shook my head. I never said it was for everyone. They rewrote that part in their heads years ago. She said. Convenience is a hell of a selective memory. That night, after they left, Elena settled next to me on the couch, curling into my side. So, she whispered, what happens next? I thought about it. My family. Their entitlement. The damage they'd done to Milo. The years I spent believing their comfort mattered more than my own boundaries. And then I thought about today. About the quiet. About the laughter. About the feeling of finally, being a father who protected his kid instead of protecting the people hurting him. What happens next? I repeated. I exhaled. We build a new version of family, I said. The one Milo deserves. And your parents? She asked softly. They can show up later, I said, with humility and accountability. And if they don't? I wrapped my arm around her shoulders. Then they don't? She nodded. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel like a bad son for choosing peace. I felt like a good father. 3 weeks passed before the next message came. Not a phone call. Not a voicemail. Not a group text fueled by Paige's theatrics. A letter. A real, physical letter, the envelope bent at the corners like someone had argued with it in their hands before finally mailing it. It was from my mother. The handwriting was smaller than I remembered. Tighter. Like she was afraid of taking up space on the page. Adam. Your father says I shouldn't write. He says you made your choice. But I need you to understand something. I almost stopped reading right there. I need you to understand. Was her old language, the one that meant you're wrong. Let me explain why. But the next lines surprised me. I failed Milo. I failed you too. And it took standing outside your gate to see it. My breath snagged. Seeing that guard look at us like we were strangers. Hearing you say, my son. It hit me that I've never treated him like he was yours. I treated him like an add-on. She paused again before the next paragraph. You were right to shut the gate. You were right to protect him. And you were right to protect yourself. I sat down. For the first time in my entire adulthood, my mother wasn't demanding access, guilt, or loyalty. She was acknowledging harm. Your father won't apologize. I don't know if he ever will. Paige thinks she did nothing wrong. Mark is too scared of conflict to say anything at all. But I see it now. I'm sorry. Truly. If you never want a relationship with us again, I understand. If you only want a relationship with me, I understand. If you want nothing at all, I will respect that too. You don't owe me forgiveness. You only owe your son safety. You gave him that. And I'm glad. Mom. I reread the letter 3 times. It wasn't perfect. It didn't undo years of pain. It didn't make my father's rage disappear or erase the countless moments Milo had been made to feel less than. But it was the first honest thing my mother had said to me in more than a decade. I didn't call her. Not yet. Instead, that evening, I walked down to the beach where Milo was building what looked like a sand city, towers connected by tiny roads he'd drawn with a stick. Hey, I said, sitting next to him. What ya building? New place, he said simply. For people who want to be here. I swallowed. Can I join? I asked. He considered, then nodded. Yeah. You're one of the main characters. The sun dipped low, orange bleeding into the water. And for once, I didn't think about my family's expectations, their entitlement, their anger, their stories about who I was supposed to be. I thought about this kid, my kid, drawing a world from scratch. A world where he belonged. A world where he wasn't a footnote, or an afterthought. A world where he didn't have to fight for a spot on the boat. I put my hand on his back. Let's build it together, I said. And we did. One tower at a time. One choice at a time. A new family, not made by blood, but by love, boundaries, and the courage to finally stop opening doors to people who only came to take.